So how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm chilling. You know, getting ready to coach you. Getting excited. I've been looking forward to this all day.
Oh, good, man. Me too. I've never been coached before, so this
Eh?
is like a totally brand new experience.
No, it's all good. I'll definitely my general motto when I coach someone is I want to make sure no matter what I'm doing, I want to make sure that anytime you have a question or whatever's going on, you're actually absorbing as much information as possible. So I'll definitely
Yeah.
try to make sure we can do that for you.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent.
So the way I like to start it, just to give me a general idea of what we're doing here, is go ahead and let me know what race you play and what league you're in overall, so I can get a kind of an idea of how you're going.
Yeah, I'm playing Protoss. I'm Silver 1.
Okay. You actually were the email that told me about this. I remember now. So I go through a bunch of emails all the time, and now I'm kind of remembering what I went through, where you were like talking about scouting and my micro, macro, those kinds of things, and like what I need to do here, and then I give you a general idea of what we should work on.
Yeah.
So what I think we should work on for you, Silver especially, is just to explain it in a way that I feel like will make a lot of sense. Is when you're in Silver League, your fundamentals of the game are not up to par to properly do other things yet, because when you do other things that are not basic fundamentals, it goes into the realm of multitasking, and multitasking makes your entire gameplay fall apart if your fundamentals are not up to par.
Right.
So, I'm thinking fundamentals, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does this work? How do you like? Yeah. How it works?
No worries.
We'll start it up.
All we do is jump in StarCraft 2, log into Battle.net, and once you're online, let me know when you're there so I don't make it sound confusing.
Okay. Launching right now.
Oh, excuse me, I just sneezed. All right, sounds good. So once you're online, I'll have you just join a channel, and then I'll be able to invite you easy peasy that way. And since we're talking,
how's the stream going?
Oh, dude, stream's going fucking fantastic. Couldn't be better. Yeah, man, and we're chilling. All right, so you on Battle.net right now?
I'm booted up.
Okay, so in bottom right,
yeah,
there's 3 icons. There's the little chat bubble with 2 people in it. Click that one.
Yep.
And now it should open up a little window that says groups and events. In bottom left, hit find. That opens up a new window that says find groups. It should say that in the very top middle.
Yep.
Now hit in the top right where it has the search bar, click it and type in the word ViBE. Hit enter. And now you should have a bunch of channels in here, and one of them should have a GM badge that says Vibes Raiders with 600 members in it.
Okay.
Double click that. And then in top right of this new window, hit join chat. Sorry, they made the StarCraft 2 Battle.net interface very convoluted, so it's like a process to join a channel.
No worries.
All right, so
okay,
are you in here? What's your name? Is it the Hindu?
Yep.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I will make a game, and so here's what I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna make an example build for you right now. And I'm going to walk you through what's important, what to look at, things you should be working on, and things you should just be like, ways you can help improve your gameplay overall while doing it. And then I'll have you try to redo it yourself, and I'll walk you through it while you do it as well.
Okay.
But before we start, I want to make sure your options in StarCraft 2 are not bad. I want to make sure they're good for you. So really quick, before we start, hit F10. It'll open up your menu for options. Go to options.
Okay.
And then go to mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
And now in mouse and keyboard, go down to the bottom of the window where it says scrolling, and put all of them, mouse scroll, keyboard scroll, drag scroll, put all of these to 50%. I bet it's on 20% for some of them and shit like that. Just make them all go to 50.
Yeah.
It'll help you a lot at macroing properly. Okay. And then now, so you don't have to hit accept yet or anything like that. Now go down to gameplay. And in this big list, On top right, where it says show unit life bars, make sure that's on always.
Yep.
Make sure right below that where it says control groups, make sure that's on unclickable.
Yep.
Okay, and then on the left side where it says user interface, tell me which boxes you have checked right now.
All of them except for show alerts.
Okay. You're Protoss, so that's fine. Honestly, actually, just do this. Uncheck the box that says select all larva.
Options.
Uncheck that shit. That way, if you ever decide you want to play Zerg,
Okay.
you don't want that. That shit's annoying.
Okay.
And yeah, the rest are fine, honestly. Okay, so you're good. Okay, so now your options are looking good. So I'm gonna make a Protoss game for you right here. I'll make you a spectator. And what I'm going to do this game... So let me ask you one question really fast. Are you familiar at all with B2GM, or have you not seen any of that?
Yeah. So I've been like watching your YouTube series and doing my best to just basically do exactly what you do.
Okay. So you have an idea. That's good. So I'm basically going to do a modern version of B2GM, something up to date. And I'm also going to basically walk you through what I think you as a player should be really looking at all the time and focusing on. And just trying to make habits for yourself that like help you get better at doing it. And I guess I'll go ahead and start it. And if you have any questions while I'm doing it, feel free to ask whatever, and I'll try to answer it for you.
Okay, sounds good.
And this build is going to be what you're going to do against every race. It does not matter what race it is, you just do it every time. It's just about like learning efficiency essentially. Okay, so the game starts. I'm going to put my mouse over the middle of the screen right now where the map is being displayed as like an example map. Like basically right above light shade. And I'm going to get ready to immediately click the Nexus. And you even have 3 seconds as well when the game starts to get your mouse in the right spot. Put your mouse over the Nexus. The second it starts, it's like a reaction test. Make a probe. And now you have a probe started right away. That's very important. Now we put our Nexus and our control group. Main one is going to be number 5. That's fine. We're going to rally our probe to the ramp. We're going to go ahead and build a pylon. And we're going to re-rally our Nexus back to the mineral line. Build our pylon. Go back to mining minerals. Okay, and we're good to go. And now we're just chilling for a second. We're going to grab another probe in just a sec here. Let's grab a probe like right about now off the mineral line, just because the pylon's about done. So we want to make sure we can build that gateway right away. And build a new probe again. And now we're going to take this probe and we're going to right click his main mineral line, and we're going to shift right click back to our base. Meanwhile, back at our base, we're going to make a chrono boost and a gas. And we're just, all we're doing right now is we're looking at 5, and we're making sure a probe is always pumping. And it's not being missed, essentially. Okay, and now we're going to rally our Nexus down to our natural at 19 supply. And we're going to have this probe get ready to build our expansion, essentially. So the biggest thing we've done so far in this whole game is we've never stopped building probes. That's humongously important.
Right.
Okay, we'll make another probe. And then now we're going to have this probe sit here for a second and build the core right above the gateway. Like that, right there.
Okay.
And now keep making probes. We're going to make a gas. And we're going to make a pylon. We're going to just pull a probe off the mineral line as soon as we have enough money to make a pylon. Or off the gas, it doesn't matter. Just build it really quickly, and there you go. And keep making probes. Okay, we can take 3 probes off the mineral line and put them into that gas that just finished. And re-rally the main down to the natural. And start chrono boosting my Nexus. And chrono boost out our Stalker. Grab our probe down here, and we're building a pylon. So all we've done so far is, we're just maximizing production. If you're building locations and your building placement is not perfect, I don't care. It's not the biggest deal. It's about maintaining your production. That's the hugest deal of all. Like, never let your building be idle.
Okay.
Now we're gonna make a sentry after the Stalker, and this is always gonna be the same. So we're gonna go sentry. We're gonna go Stalker, sentry, Stalker, 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 Stalker for a very long time. So Stalkers for now a long time.
Right.
Keep chrono boosting our Nexus. Keep chrono boosting our Nexus. And yeah, just keep making probes. Keep making units. We're starting a robo now as well, and we're going to start our second gateway. Now, I'm going to pause it really fast and just explain something really quickly. At this point in time, if you realize your opponent, you know what? To be fair, honestly, don't even do a change of your build. I was about to say if this or if that. At this point now, once you throw down your robo and once you throw down your second gateway, right now what we're going to do is we're going to keep making probes. Again, the goal is to maintain production the whole time out of Nexus and out of gateways and out of the robo. And right now we're going to take a battery, and from now on, we're always going to build a battery at every new base we take, and we're just going to build one. That's it. We're not going to build tons of batteries, no matter what our opponent's doing. We're always going to build one, and we're done. So maintain production, keep making probes, keep making stalkers, keep making immortals, and make one battery while we make probes.
Okay. So this is a change.
Yeah, so like before I told you to maybe make or not make a battery, but making a battery always, just one of them, is not that expensive, and it's going to help you a lot if you ever get harassed or something.
Okay.
Okay, so now our Nexus, once it has 16 plus, we're going to get ready to take our third base, because we could definitely afford it at that point in time. So again, we're watching our supply. So I'm going to pause it one more time and say this. All we're doing right now is we have all of our production, not Nexus, but all unit production, like Stalkers and Immortals and all that stuff. Every gateway and my robos are all on group 4. You can put it on whatever group you want to do yourself, but for me, I'm using group 4. I have Nexus all on group 5. So what I'm doing right now, every single second, and when the game is going, is I'm going 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. And my eyes are looking at bottom middle in that little black command card area where it's like, okay, on my gateways, like if you select my gateways right now, you can see like 2 of them and you can see 1 robo. And there's little white checks in the gateways that tell me a unit's being built. Same with a robo. There's going to be a white check box telling me there's a unit being built. And I want to make sure there's always a unit being built. I'm going to stare at the white boxes. Same thing for the Nexus. If you click both my Nexus, there's little white dots in the Nexus that tell me a probe is under construction. So I'm literally just looking 4, 5, 4, looking at those. And then when I'm not doing that, if those are good and I'm like, okay, I just checked it, we're good, I have a couple seconds, my eyes immediately go to top right and they look at supply, minerals, and gas. And I go, okay, do I have a good supply cushion? A good supply cushion you should aim for is when you're starting the game off, the build order kind of is, it is what it is. Like it's kind of the same for the first like up to 2 minutes. And we'll break that down in a minute when you do yours, but like exactly what to do. But in general, once you get beyond, like once you have a natural Nexus and you're building probes at 2 bases, from that point on for the rest of the game, you want to always try to stay around a like 15 to a 20 supply cushion. And if you ever drop below that, just build a pylon. So if you're ever with under 15, if you're like at 9 or you're at 10 or you're at 12 or whatever, always make sure you have a pylon in construction so it's going to bump you back over. So, and the thing is, if you do it like, you could even do it around 10, like 10 supply cushion, and it would still mostly work. But if you ever miss that, it's going to fuck you, because if you get down to like 6 or 5, you're going to supply block for a while and it's going to be painful. So try not to ever supply block, essentially, is the plan. So that's generally what we're doing. It's the whole game plan right now. It's just repeatedly doing that. Okay, so we're going to make another pylon because we're getting kind of low here again. And our first pylon's about to finish, but we're going to be kind of low, so we're going to make a second pylon.
New technology researched.
And we can now get ready to take our natural. Alright, sorry, our third base is what I meant to say. And third base is down. Warp gates are becoming warp gates. Get another pylon going. And continue making units. Continue making probes. And then as soon as we have a little bit of minerals open, we'll throw down gas. So now we can throw down gas because we can afford it. And if you look at my supply, I'm looking at my supply now. I'm under that range, so let's make another pylon. Okay, and now let's re-rally our main and natural nexus down to the third because we're fully saturated on the natural. And we don't want to oversaturate and forget about it. And we're going to keep chrono boosting our nexus for now. So all we're doing right now is literally, and we're also under the threshold again, so let's build another pylon. All we're doing is watching the production and what, you know, probes, units, and making sure we're not spy blocking. Unit positioning doesn't really matter that much. It's just in front of the natural, essentially. Okay, we're going to throw a battery down at our third because that's the rule. Every time we take an expansion, let's always put a battery at it at this point. Okay, chrono boost my probes. Okay, and now our money is still being able to be spent very fast. It's because we have all this chrono boost being dumped into probes constantly. It's definitely draining our money pretty fast. We're always sitting at like low money thresholds here, while we're just trying to barely maintain everything we can do here. Throw down another pylon because we're falling in the threshold again. And now our third base is fully saturated, so let's take a probe. Let's now do the same exact thing we just did with our third, but now we're going to do it with our fourth. Because we're fully saturated on the third, we're going to take a fourth. We're going to build a pylon or two at it. And then once we can afford to maintain production after we set up the fourth base with all of our nexus that exist and our gateways and our robo, we will then add on gas to our third. So gas is like the final piece after we make sure we're also producing units. So now make the immortal, make our probes, and we'll take gas again. And now look at our third. It's 22 out of 22 probes, so we're done. Make our gases, and we'll eventually saturate them, and we're good to go. Now let's go ahead and build another battery in our fourth. And then chrono boost our nexus one more time. And this will probably be the last chrono boost, because here's like stage 2 of the build, essentially, okay? So now we're mousing over our supply a bit more in top right. We're actually putting our mouse over it, because if you put your mouse over it, it tells you exactly how much army and worker supply you have. It gives you a breakdown of what your total is. And what we're looking for is we're looking for 80 to 85. Anywhere in that range is totally fine. And now, if I just started a chrono boost at 73, I'm going to probably end up around 79 by the time that chrono boost is done. And that's, I'm not going to have to make many more probes and I'll be done. So now, at this point in time, I'm about to finish probe production. It's going to happen really quick here. And then I'm going to have 4 bases fully saturated. And now what I'm going to switch into is I'm going to expand my... I'm going to now expand my production of units. I'm going to add in upgrades. And I'm also going to prepare, you know, just getting my supply is going to start ramping up a lot faster. So the reason why this is super important is because now that we're getting really close to max, we're getting close to like, or let me say it like this. This will make more sense. When you're developing a build in StarCraft 2, you have a bunch of costs that exist. One cost that exists when you develop a build is workers. Building workers is a cost. But what they do is they give you more money over time because you make more of them, they generate more money. So now the worker cost is about to expire because we're going to be at the proper amount of workers. And it's going to be at max like threshold of giving us the most money possible. So our money is going to explode because of this reason alone. Secondly, our supply caps out in StarCraft 2 at 200 supply. People know this. But now that we don't have the cost anymore of making pylons and making supply, that also explodes our income even more because we don't have to build workers and we don't have to build pylons anymore, which is going to free up a bunch of money to build army with. So this is going to allow us to now switch gears to go into full army production and upgrade production. So in phase 2 of the build now, which is what this is becoming, we're going to chrono boost upgrades. And we're going to maintain building army, but we're going to add on top of what we already have to build more army faster. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we're now going to throw down... we're going to throw down a couple more pylons in our main base at this point, so we just have more room to build with, just because you need pylons to build shit. Make sure we keep maintaining production off of the gateways and the robo we already have. Make sure we saturate our gas at our third. Don't forget to do that. And probes right now, we're at 79, so we're just about there. We're going to make like one more set and we're good. Now, in our main base, we're going to throw down a Templar or a Twilight Council for tech, a forge, 2 forges for tech, and we're going to throw down like an additional 6 gateways. So we're at 3 more, 4 more. Two more. Now 1 more. Now we got. Okay, so we just made 2 forges, a council, and 6 gates. So we're good to go. Now we're getting attacked, so we'll just select the army and move down there. That's fine. We can take our gases at our 4th. And now here is the other half of stage 2. Okay, so I want to pause it and just explain this really fast. So you notice how our supply just ramped up like crazy. It's because our 4th base just finished with the Nexus, which gives supply, and the pylons just finished there too. And we just added a bunch of pylons in our main base to increase the building surface area of all of our gates and all those kinds of things. So our max supply just went up really high, really fast. And we just added on all the tech and all the gates. Now what we're going to do as the second part of like the phase 2 essentially of what we're doing is we're going to keep trying to maintain production out of no longer Nexus, and Nexus is done, but we're just going to maintain production out of our upgrades. So now it's going to be, instead of watching your probes and chrono boosting your probes, you're going to watch your upgrades and chrono boost your upgrades. Meanwhile, we're going to just watch your production and make sure you're always making units out of your production all the time. Now, the last thing we're going to do with this is we're also going to watch the clock a little bit now, and this is why this is important. Every single base, and this is a good fact to know. This is like a good like a little tip that a lot of people don't realize until much later. But if you know this tip right now, this helps a lot at keeping a mental note on how to manage a good economy. So every 8 minutes after a base has, like if a base finishes, it now has a timer of 8 minutes on average until it is going to start mining out mineral patches. So if the game started at 1 second into the game, it means that at minute 8, generally speaking, that is when patches are going to start disappearing in our main base. And then if we expand it at 2 minutes, it means our natural is going to start losing patches at 10 minutes, and so on and so on. It's just 8 minutes after the base is done. The reason why this is important is because if you want to get better as a player, this right here is where everybody that I've ever watched struggle, that is like bronze, silver, gold, plat. If there's anything that they struggle with, it is always this thing. And it is try your best to always expand at the right time, and make sure you're always having another expansion come up again and again and again at the right time, so that you can maintain a good economy and you don't let your existing economy on 4 bases turn into crap, because it will if you don't fix it repeatedly. So another general rule of thumb to make it super simple is, generally speaking, in bronze to GM style, you are going to be expanding every 2 minutes permanently until you have your entire side of the map covered. So every 2 minutes, if you're not remembering to take a Nexus, you need to be taking a Nexus. That's generally how it goes.
Okay.
And this goes, and if you look at the amount of bases on the map, you have 7 bases on your side of the map on this map. Because if you look at the whole left side of the map, that's your side. It's got 7 bases, so that would mean you're going to be expanding all the way up until about 14 minutes. Okay, so that's what we're doing now. We're going to maintain good economy. We're about to take our 5th base, because again, every 2 minutes means we're going to take another base at 8 minutes, and we're just going to maintain production. Okay, so let's go ahead and get ready to take our 5th base. Now check out my main base. It's going to start having patches that are super low, and like one of them has 25, one of them has 20. So like it's literally 8 minutes. It's like going to start disappearing. So now we have a 5th base started with a couple more pylons. This base will also give us max supply. It's going to hit us at 200 supply. So now again, all we're doing is we're chrono boosting our upgrades in the form of a Twilight Council and our forges, while making. And at this point too, now we're going to start making zealots. So I'm actually going to pause one more time and just explain this too, because I want to make sure this makes sense. I know it might sound like a lot, it might be overwhelming, but you'll walk through it a lot and it'll start making more sense if it feels like it's overwhelming at all. But generally speaking, we start taking our tech and our upgrades when we start saturating our 4th base. And then, you know, obviously our 4th base saturates pretty fast because we have a lot of Nexus building those probes, and that's done. But once your Twilight Council is done, and you can start upgrading out of your Twilight Council, you want to then quickly start a Templar Archives so that you can start making Archons, which are super good. Archons are amazing. And then you want to, as soon as you start making the Templar Archives, start making Zealots instead of Stalkers. So your composition starts on Stalker, Immortal, and then like an Observer or something. So it's mostly just Stalker, Immortal. And then it switches, once you make a Templar Archives, into Immortal, Zealot, Archon. Feel good?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Game resumed.
Okay, so we're going to make a shield battery at our next expansion again. Main base is mining out, so let's transfer probes to a base that needs them, like our 4th base.
Field depleted.
Mining out again. Transfer probes. Keep making units. Keep chrono boosting upgrades. And now, if we're at a point now too where we're about to max out, and our money is, you know, it's starting to kind of get away from us to a degree.
Mineral field.
So this is now going to become the final phase of the build. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send one zealot on a move on one side of the map, and I'm going to send another zealot on a move on the other side of the map. What these 2 zealots are going to do is they're going to check every single base that exists, like for the open expansions. They're just going to look at every possibility of where a base could be. And what's going to happen with that is it's going to show me where I should be attacking with my army that I want to attack with, like right now, because we are maxed like around 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So this is the final phase of the build. Okay, so what we're going to do is zealots are moving out to go scout the bases, and as soon as we find one, that's going to be how we're going to like shift a move our army towards his base. Behind this, we're going to set up 2 things. We're going to use our bank to set up a future remax that is going to be really fast. We're also going to set up static D at every base we own, so that if there ever is a counterattack in any way, chances are we're going to take very little damage to it, because the static D will help a lot at dealing with it. So, again, once we find his base, we can shift a move him. Remember the 2-minute rule. At 10 minutes, which is coming up pretty soon, we want to take our next base again, probably in like bottom left. And then meanwhile, we're going to be adding on a bunch more gates and robos and cannons at every base now. So every base, ideally, you want to have about 2 cannons and 1 battery. And overall, for your production, you want to have roughly anywhere in the realm of 20 to 24 production facilities. So this could be 21 gates and 1 robo, 21 gates and 2 robos, 19 gates and 2 robos. Like, as long as it's 2 or 3 robos and the rest gateways, and as long as the total adds up to anywhere between 20 to 24. That's all. Like, it does. Again, all I mean by this is it does not have to be perfect. It just has to be in that realm of having a lot of production, essentially. So 20 gates and 2 robos would be perfect if you want to make it like something that's, if you're one of those people that has to be specific and OCD. I know there's a lot of people like that. You can just say that 20 gateway, 2 robo, I'm good, and you're fine, because that's in the realm of being good, like 20 to 24. Okay. So that's what we're gonna do now. Is we'll go for 20 gates and 2 robos in total while we do the A move, and that's gonna allow us to have a super fat remax every time. So gateways first and robo first, and then add on static D after. So we'll resume it, and we'll start adding on our gates. So right now we have 8, so we'll go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now add on 1 more robo, and I just made all my gates and robos. Easy peasy. Just put them, it doesn't have to be perfect, just put them down. And behind this, now let's go to every base and go battery, cannon, in the main. Battery, cannon. There's already a battery at the natural. We'll just add 2 cannons to it. There's already a battery at the 3rd base. Actually, it died. Just kidding. So we'll remake it and add in battery, cannon. Next base, battery, cannon. Next base, battery, cannon. And finally, we're at 10 minutes. Let's make another base and make a couple pylons at it so we can then make battery, cannon. Now, we found where the bases are. It's just a natural. So let's take our army and group it up. Wherever the hell we have it, group up our army in the middle of our base, just to like get it all organized. Behind this too, we're still chrono boosting upgrades, and now we're gonna shift attack on the mini map his natural, and then shift a move his main. We did not click his base. We did not go to his base. We just did it all off the mini map, looking at our side of the map. So now our army's doing that.
Okay.
Our new base in bottom left now needs battery, cannon. Now let's check our mineral lines. Main needs to be fixed. Natural needs to be fixed. 3rd base is good. Let's just send probes at a new base that's open, and we're good. Make sure we have all of our gateways and our robos being utilized here, so anything that dies, we can remake into new units. And we re-chrono boosted our upgrades for our forges and our council. So this is the whole build. And now it's, again, now we're watching the clock. 12 minutes is coming up here in the next minute, so let's make sure we pay attention to that. And we make another Nexus with battery, cannon at it when that time comes.
Mineral field exhausted.
This is going to be our last Nexus to do this with. So it's all about just now maintaining mineral field depleted. Let's fix that. Go to our natural, send them down to our new base that we just made. We can saturate our gases first, just because that'd be fine. And yeah, chrono boost our upgrades, remake any unit that dies. And that's the overall game plan right there. Just making sure you maximize this over and over and over and over, and you never let probes sit on bad mineral lines. And you just so again, now 12 minutes is here. We would go Nexus, pylon with now battery, cannon. And now that you have your entire side of the map covered, this is the final piece of the game, okay? Now that your side of the map is fully covered, you can try to continue to expand to his side of the map if the bases are available. But if you get your entire side of the map covered, you've done an amazing job. And if you can do this every game, guaranteed you're going to be Diamond League. Like you're going to, if you can master what we just did here, you will be going up into Diamond League, and then the game kind of becomes more of a beast with other forms of gameplay that you would need to learn, because getting to Diamond League off of this is basically fundamentals. So what we maxed out on this game was, and now this is how we're gonna like kind of rate you essentially. 9 minutes and 20 seconds was the max. Okay, I'm going to now rewind the replay, so it might kick you out of the game really fast, but it won't take me very long to do what I'm about to do. I want to have a couple thresholds of time. Okay, so these are going to be like quota benchmarks for you. So now at 4 minutes, I'm going to write these down too, so I don't somehow forget. I'll write it down in our Discord message. 4 minutes, we have 39 workers, okay? And 53 supply. So that's one benchmark. A second benchmark can be like 7 minutes. And this one is 76 workers. At 7 minutes, we have 76 workers and 130 supply. And then again, that'll be the last one, and then we'll say 9 minutes 20 maxed out with max workers parenthesis 80 to 85, because that's what we're stopping at. That's our stopping point. Okay, so now I'm gonna leave this, and I'm gonna have you play the game yourself, and we're gonna kind of see how you go with the benchmarks, and I'll run you through it. It might be overwhelming, but that's the beast that is StarCraft.
Yeah. Couple of quick questions.
Yeah, sure.
So when you just say supply, that means like total 53 units?
Yeah,
like
53 altogether.
Like
it's workers and units combined.
Okay. Okay. And then, so a couple of things that I do a little different. You can tell me if it's bad, or I think I should try to do it your way. For my hotkeys, typically I'll do like all my robos on a specific number, all my forges on a specific number, and then I use like the W for the gateway. But you put everything on one.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like, do you think I should try to do it that way, like your way?
I think it's better to do it all in one, and the reason why is because if you put it all on separate hotkeys, it creates multiple things you have to keep tabs on in your brain. And you're like, oh yeah, I got to check my gates. Now I got to check my robos. Now I got to check my forges. Now I got to check this. Now I got to check that. And in general, what you should be doing is if you have it all in one hotkey, you can be checking your production group, and it checks everything at once. So it's much easier to keep tabs on everything when you're trying to learn how to, manage everything all at once.
Okay, and then you can just hit tab to go through the different buildings.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Like, I guess it might take a little bit to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it takes it's zero downside to it. It's very fast.
Okay. Okay, and then the only thing that you kind of changed was you do like 2 forges now instead of 3.
I never did 3. Or if I did 3, I don't remember doing that. Never do 3. 3 is excessive and not good.
Okay. Okay, and that, like, do you just skip the shield upgrade and just do the
for now,
armor and the weapon?
For now, just do weapons and armor, and then get shields last. So don't do all 3 at once, because all 3 at once is way too expensive at that stage of the game.
Okay. Okay, and then the only thing that you changed too was you do like the charge upgrade for the zealots now.
So we do both blink and charge. So it like blink and charge. This is kind of a judgment call for you. You could literally do either one, but whatever you do, get both. And the reason why you could do either one first, realistically, is because if you can manage to maintain chrono boost on your upgrades once that time comes, which is when you're starting to saturate your 4th base, all chronos shift over to the forges and the council. You'll have both blink and charge by the time you do your timing. So it shouldn't matter which one you get first.
Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Was there any particular reason you decided to like add on the zealots instead of just sticking with stalkers?
It's honestly, if you were A moving, it is stronger. Archons and zealots are stronger than
It is
stalkers.
strong.
Yeah, it has a bigger power
Okay.
punch to it. Keep in mind too, one of the big things I changed as well from my last B2GM series to this one is whenever you expand, so it's the 2-minute thing like we talked about. Every 2 minutes you're expanding. That's generally what's going to be happening. But do not take, other than your main base, do not take gas at your base you just took until you take your next base again. So for instance, do not take gas at your natural until you start your 3rd base and then come back and take your gas at your natural. And do this at every base you take. So if you want to take your 4th base, do not take your gas at your 3rd base until you take your 4th base and then come back and take gas at your 3rd base. So gas is the last priority of all. You hit the full saturation of the mineral line, keep making probes, then expand, then make gas.
Okay.
And this way, it's going to make your money
Okay.
have a big surplus all the time to where you can expand at proper times. And you're not going to be like having a fuckload of gas and you have like mildly delayed expansions because you're prioritizing gas. Okay, so
Got it.
I'll run you through it as well. And just know too, the big thing that I don't know if you know this is how I do it, but I will be making this a VOD for YouTube. So I'll be sending this to you, probably by tomorrow or maybe the day after. So you'll be able to rewatch this if you're like, good God, he's speaking a lot and I can't follow everything. You can always go back and watch it again and again and again for like multiple refreshers.
Okay.
All right, so Joe, go ahead and jump out of the game you're in right now, and I'll make a new one. And I'll have you play this time. And I'm gonna pause the game as well every time you hit a benchmark, and I'm gonna tell you what you're at. And then we'll just talk about it really fast.
Yeah.
And I know it's okay if you're not hitting the benchmarks. It's kind of expected, but it's just kind of something to strive for, because it is. Once you get down your fundamentals, what I just did will feel easy, but when you're in the process of trying to learn them, it's going to feel really fucking hard. And that's why I do not want you to do a lot of other things as well while you're trying to get this down, because this is by far the most important thing to learn, because it's going to be important no matter what league in StarCraft you're in. It's like mandatory.
Okay.
All right, so I am inviting you again.
Oh, I did have one last question. I forgot
Sure,
to ask.
go ahead.
You can tell me if it's too nitpicky for now, and we can just deal with it later. So you say, when you scout with the probe after you make the first gateway.
Yeah. Yep.
And then if they have not expanded, you're supposed to do one gateway and then your cyber before.
No, don't worry about that. Do not worry
Taking
about
your
that.
second.
Do the build
Don't worry about
exactly
that.
the same every game. Forget about reacting to what you see, because realistically, it's not going to change shit, and it's just going to confuse you. If you honestly, if you go for the build I just showed you, which I'll walk you through in a second, if you do it that way every time, you're going to have this big fat lead all the time. And as long as you don't deviate and like do weird shit and you like make the build go slow in a lot of ways, you'll always be able to hold all different kinds of all-ins and pressures, because you'll just be building at a very efficient pace. All right, so I'm inviting you to the game. Go ahead and make sure you accept, and we'll start it up. All right, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, so I will very specifically walk you through the very initial build, and then after you get your once you build your initial buildings for like the first 2 minutes, I'll kind of lighten up a bit, and I'll just remind you to keep producing shit essentially, and it's more or less just like it's a lot simpler after the initial opener. So first things first.
Okay.
Make the probe. Get your mouse on the Nexus. Make the probe. Okay, and now rally your Nexus to the ramp so you can build a pylon. Now build a probe again. Now as soon as the probe pops out, first things first, re-rally the Nexus on the mineral line, and then grab the probe. So now grab the probe and build your pylon. Okay, and go back to your mineral line. And now build another probe. Now, At 110 minerals, which is soon, grab a probe off the mineral line and go up. So right now. Go up and build your gateway. Build another probe and go scout. Now build a gas. Build another probe and chrono boost your nexus. Now you can tell your probe that's scouting to right click his main mineral line and then shift right click your mineral line. So that you don't have to touch it again. It just will do whatever it does. And now shift click yours so it comes back to mine. And then make another probe. And rally it to your gas. Or grab it off the mineral line, rally it to your, put it on your gas now. And rally your nexus. Okay, no, take 2 off. You only want 1 probe on gas right now. So take your nexus now and rally to the natural. Or take a probe and... Okay, now it's a probe spawned already, so take the probe and send it to the natural. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to pause it really fast because we're getting a little fucked up here. Sorry.
Okay.
So...
Got it. I got it.
Yeah, so you want... Make sure... This is very, very, very important. Make sure as soon as you hit 16 out of 16 on the mineral line, you never, ever take it off. So when I said put 1 probe on the gas, and you put 3 on, you went down to 14 out of 16, and this does fuck you over hardcore. Never do that. Because you want your build is very mineral focused, so you want to make sure you're always maximizing your minerals. So that's why I also was telling you about the gas after you expand. You want to that's mineral focus. You never want to do a gas focus with this. You just take gas after you have your minerals. So as soon as I resume it, which will be I'll let you know when I do it in a second. Take 1 probe, put it back in your mineral line as a priority. That's like the number 1, and then number 2, re-rally your nexus back to the mineral line. And then, back to the gas. So you're going to fill up the gas 1 by 1 by 1. And then just grab one of your 17 out of 16 probes on the mineral line and send it to your natural to go build a nexus.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so...
Yep.
Yeah. All right, good luck. I'm going to go in 3, 2, 1. Nice. So grab a probe and send it to your natural to go build your nexus first. And then keep building probes.
Here.
And build your core after, near the gateway. The core next. Okay. And then go back to your mineral line and keep making probes. No, okay, so chrono boost, chrono boost is definitely not what you want to do there. You want to save that until after your second pylon.
Oh, okay.
So pull your probe back to the to the main. It's going down to the natural again. You want to make sure you recommand it. Build your second gas and build your pylon. So now you're going to supply block because you chronoed first.
Ah, okay.
And once you're out of, and from here on out, now it's easy peasy. So that first build order is very specific. But from that point on, now, it's look at the 15 to 20 supply rule I talked about. Try to make sure you never block. And start building your stalker. Build your warp gate. Saturate that gas. And rally your nexus to your natural. Both nexus rally to the natural. And you could also put your gateway in its own control group right now. What's up?
All right. Should I saturate my gas? Saturate the gas?
Yeah. So I want to say, I just want to make sure you understand what I mean too. Always saturate your gas after your mineral line's fully saturated. So like the goal is you want to go to 16 out of 16 on the main mineral line, and then you re-rally the nexus itself to the gas, and it fills up the gas 1, 2, 3. But you're not ripping 3 off the mineral line and going into the gas. That's how you want to saturate your gas. So so anything that goes, if for instance, if you have a gas that's 0 out of 3 and you have a mineral line that's 16, 17, 18 out of 16, that's bad. You want to make sure that goes all in the gas now. For the excess always goes into the gas. Okay.
Game resumed.
Okay, make a pylon at your natural, I would say, just so you can get ready to build a battery. And chrono boost your nexus and start building probes for your nexus your saturation. So now you're going to also want to build a couple things. Build a sentry, build a second gateway, and build a robo. And this is also when you want to build a battery at your natural. Keep making units the whole time too. Try to make sure you're making probes the entire time. So when you build a building as well, are you actually using hotkeys or are you clicking the building?
I use the hotkeys.
Okay, good. Okay, so now I'm going to pause one more time because again, I just don't want this to be overwhelming when I'm talking and telling you to do everything. So right now is a perfect time where what you should be doing is watching your supply. If you're good, you're good. That means you can wait for a moment to build a pylon. You always want to be checking that supply every like 5 to 10 seconds. But you want to also, while you build shit, so like when you started the Nexus, shift click that Nexus into your Nexus control group. While you build, and you just did it, which is good. And so you're already doing it, which is nice. Just shift clicking into your existing buildings you started into your group. That's good shit. Okay, so that always keep doing that. I'm going to resume right now. Good luck. And then just make it now, from now on, keep building stalkers for a while. And make sure you build that battery at your natural. Okay, keep building probes. Now remember the 2-minute rule, right around 4 minutes. This is roughly when you should be saturated on your main, or your natural mineral line. So this is when you're going to want to probably take your third base.
Okay.
And every time you expand, always throw down 2 pylons on both edges of the Nexus. So like you have some room to work with some build area. Okay, keep building units. Start building your immortals. Build your stalkers. Keep building those. Actually, I would say so. Here's a huge tip as well. This is actually something we didn't talk about. Sorry to pause it on you, but one of your gateways is a warp gate. The other gateway has stalkers queued into the rally of like queued up stalkers. This is very important to not do that. As soon as your warp gate is done, try to make sure you're not actually just continuously building stalkers like you are, because a stalker build time is 30 seconds, but a warp gate build time of a stalker is only 23 seconds. So it's like a substantial decrease in build time of stalkers once your warp gate's done, as long as it's a warp gate. So you really want to make sure it's warp gate as soon as you can do that on every gateway you have. And every time you build a new gateway from then on, it'll just automatically become a warp gate. You just want to make sure you're not doing what you're doing now, which is queuing up a bunch of stalkers, which doesn't let it become a warp gate. So cancel the stalkers in the existing gateway to make it become a warp gate, and then make your immortal, and then make stalkers out of the warp gate instead.
Okay.
Game resumed.
Okay, good shit. Keep making probes. And now that your third base is done, and you have a bit of money, now you can make your gas and your natural. And don't supply block. So make sure if you get in that 15 threshold, make a pylon. And then just keep chrono boosting your probes as much as possible. Your chrono is a bit high, so chain chronoing your probes as much as you can, and then just building stalkers and immortals. Also, you know how I told you to build? I'm gonna pause one more time. Sorry. How I told you to build stalker, sentry, stalker, 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 stalker. You do the same thing with your robo, but you go immortal, observer, immortal, immortal, immortal. So you make observer second, just like you make sentry second, but then you go right back to making immortals all game after that. The reason why this is important is because if you make an immortal first, it'll help a lot at helping you not die to someone who all-ins you really fast. But if you make an observer second, it is important to have one, because that way if someone does something with cloaked units like DTs or Banshees or Lurkers or whatever, at least you have detection. So observer second always, and then go right back into immortals. Okay, here we go.
Game resumed.
Okay, so now you'd also want to re-rally your Nexus all to your third base, because you're fully saturated on the natural. And then also saturate those gases.
Okay, third base.
Yep. And then keep producing.
Do I chrono this?
Chrono your probes always for now.
Okay.
Keep chronoing probes until you chrono probes until you start your fourth base. So now select all army and attack the army at your third, and don't even stop looking at it. Make probes, make army. Like, don't even micro your units. You don't need to. And make sure you make that battery at your third base as well. And make immortals. Okay, keep going. And you can re-rally 4 of those probes from your natural mineral line to your third base. And now look what time it is. Time to take your fourth base. So same thing with your fourth base. Like 2 pylons in the Nexus. And then keep making stalkers, keep making immortals. And now that you're starting your fourth base, I'm going to pause for you one more time. Okay? And I know you're probably like always fucking hitting buttons. You're like, God damn it, you paused on me again. But this is now the time when you want to chrono boost your probes. You're a little bit under, I would say, because when I started my fourth base, we had about like 72, 75 workers. So you're a little bit behind on probes. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
You're a bit behind. And Once you start your 4th base, the general idea is you're going to do your final chrono boost on your Nexus to get you to that point to where you're pretty much done. And then from there, you will go into just making your chrono boost on your upgrades. So now that, again, when you start your 4th base, you want to pair that with one final chrono boost on every Nexus. And then start all your buildings while you're maintaining production. So you're still making probes. And then you're going to start chrono boosting your upgrades when they're done. So it's... Right now, again, the general idea what you're going to do is chrono every Nexus, keep making probes, keep making stalkers, keep making immortals. All your existing production you've been making the whole time, keep doing it. Keep making pylons. But now you're going to add on double forge, council, 6 gates. Just like, again, if it's not 6, if it's 5, if it's 7, if it's 8, I don't really give a shit like that much. It's just make a few more gateways. 6 is a great number to go for if you want to be very specific. But anything in the realm of like 5 to 8 would be fine. Just as long as you have more gates to make more shit with, because your money's about to start going up really fast. So that, and then as soon as your council's done, make the Templar Archives, and I'll remind you of that again. But yeah, make your production, make your tech, and chrono boost your Nexus one more time for probes.
Game resumed.
Okay.
Okay, so keep making immortals, keep making stalkers, make those pylons in your main base so that you can actually make your shit properly with more build area. And then start your double forge. Start your... See, like, hold on, I'm gonna pause you one more time really fast. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Game paused.
So, since the last time I unpaused it, about 25 seconds had passed. And I know you're doing a lot of shit, but I want to ask you a question of, did you look at that Zergling attacking your main base, and how long did you look at it for?
No, I to be honest, I just hit F2, A, and then I just clicked on my main base.
Okay, good. Because I just want to make sure you're not overlooking at the army, because a lot of people have a bad habit of staring at something they're going to kill when it's like the same outcome is going to happen either way. I just want to make sure you're not wasting time like having, because that's a bad habit to develop where you just stare and you zombie mode like a fight and you just like watch it and watch it and watch it. You don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to resume it again. Just
Yeah, I have you in my ear. Just okay.
Okay, no worries.
Yep.
Game resumed.
Keep making like double forge, council, 6 gates, and be careful with your army too. I would say just do it whenever you can. Do a quick select the army, and send it to like the back, like the front of your base, so it's not just in the back of everything. Okay. And then do a Twilight Council. And when you get a second, take your gas at your 3rd and take a battery at your 4th. And keep making units whenever you can. So just to give you an idea too, really quick, your worker counts are not that bad. I give you like a B plus on your worker, like a B minus even.
Okay.
Somewhere in a B range.
Okay.
Your supply though is more like a D. It's like pretty low.
Right.
So you're doing a pretty decent job maintaining the Nexus, but you're not doing the greatest job maintaining the gateway. And it's hard as fuck to do that.
Right.
I totally understand. It's just something to improve on. Okay, so
Oh,
now
that's why we're here.
what's up?
I said that's why we're here.
Oh, okay, yeah. So now you want to take your Templar Archives, take your 5th base, because again we're now at the next 2-minute mark. And now you're going to switch gears into charge lots and archons. So start making charge lots because you can't make archons yet. And then eventually you can also make archons. And don't forget to start upgrades on your forges and your council to do chrono boosted upgrades. And Templar Archives, don't forget that. Okay, good shit. And then also look at your main base and start fixing your saturation. You're 6 over, so now you want to start sending probes elsewhere that mine better.
Okay. Okay, I should take these gases.
Yeah, exactly. Always take them after you start the last base. And don't forget to start your upgrade on your Twilight Council, and make sure you chrono boost all your upgrades. Your Twilight Council is just there. You go. You got it. And then chrono boost that as well. Don't forget to chrono boost that as well. Because if you don't chrono boost the council, you will not have both upgrades in time, like I was saying. So keep making units. Don't stop. And don't. Now that's when the supply threshold is becoming a problem for you, where you gotta make sure you're building supply. And it's time to expand again. It'll feel overwhelming at first. And then don't forget to chrono boost upgrades again. And now this is also that point when you're like 150, 160, 170 supply. Once you're getting close to max, you want to send 2 zealots on both sides of the map. So 1 zealot on the south side, 1 zealot on the north side, and you shift A move every expansion on that side of the map with that zealot so that you can spot where his expansions are. So you will attack a base that makes sense to attack. This way you don't let someone like hide a base on you all day.
Okay.
Okay, go back to upgrading. Chrono boost your forges. Chrono boost your council. And now your probes are done. No more probes. You're actually at 90, which is a little bit over, but it's okay. And now at this point, this is when you want to go into the gateway explosion. So as soon as you find his bases on the main map, you can select all army and just A move, shift A move, shift A move all of his bases once you find them. But in the meantime, build an additional 14 gateways, or like rather 12 gateways, because you have 8 of them already. So 12 more gates and 1 more robo. Anywhere you can fit them in. Doesn't even have to be in your main, just anywhere. Okay, you found his army. So now while you're doing this, select the army. On the mini-map, attack the natural, then shift A move the main. Now go back to building gateways and robo. You just added on 11 more, so you need 1 more gate. And you have 1 robo, which is good, but you're missing 1 gate, so try to get that nice, kind of well-rounded number here.
Should I like build gases here now?
Yeah, that's fine. And now you're going to want to go into battery, cannon at every base. Meanwhile, while you're doing this, don't forget to chrono boost upgrades. And every time your supply drops, try to grab your gateways on group 4, or 5 rather, and build units. So you actually, we talked about it earlier, and this, I'm gonna pause on you one more time really fast. We talked about it earlier, and we talked about the habit development, and I know what's happening is right now you're using the warp gate hockey, and I would say it in theory, at some point if you want to go back to warp gate hockey, I think it's totally fine, but I think it would be a really good habit for you to develop, where every time you build a building, don't forget to shift click them into your existing group. Because right now your group 5 still only has the 2 gateways and the 1 robo, and it's missing all other 18 gates and the 1 robo. So just make sure you don't lose those, because then you'll never lose gateways. You will never lose gateways if you do this, because you have warp gate hockey. But you will sometimes lose stargates and robos if you don't add them in and you don't get in the habit of doing that. And you might be like, oh fuck, I have 3 robos and I've only been using 1 all game. I didn't realize that sucks. So make sure you always make sure you always do that. And the goal is, again, the goal right now in the game for you is setting up all your bases with like cannon battery, setting up all your production, which is what you just did, and making sure every base you have is not oversaturated. So if you take a second and look at your natural, it's oversaturated. If you look at your 3rd base, it's still good. Your 4th base is oversaturated by 1, so on and so on. Just making sure the probes are always efficiently mining, because that is, like I said before, that is the hardest thing that players struggle with at maintaining all the time, because you feel overwhelmed by everything you're already doing, and then maintaining like every 30 seconds to every like minute you're always checking the mineral lines, making sure they're good. It can be overwhelming, but that's what you got to do to like, it builds like a mental like note in your brain over time that goes, oh yeah, this is when bases should be mining out, and you just start realizing, you start like feeling the fucking economy rather than like always having to check it, because it becomes so often for you that you do it that you just know when it starts happening, just out of like the rhythm of a game, essentially. But how you feel? Make sense with everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna resume it for you and just try to go back and fix everything, maintain, do your upgrades, and be careful with like your forges. Right now you have all upgrades on 1 forge and no upgrades on the other.
Okay. Okay.
So there, what I would say you would have wanted to have done is canceled the armor. Don't hit escape on it though. You'd want to just cancel it behind the weapon.
Okay.
and then you'd want to start armor on the other one. Because if you just let it queue like that for a long time, it's going to weaken your army substantially.
Okay, I gotcha.
And then it would be, again, a huge tip as well is always, whenever you build forges, build your council and your forges all together. Because your council isn't being chrono boosted as often as your forges are. And you definitely don't want to miss that either.
Okay.
And now it's, and don't forget as well, once you build a council, you're done making stalkers. You're making all zealots and archon.
Okay.
And another tip I would give you is when you're building battery cannon, try to make sure your cannons and battery go in the mineral line rather than behind the other side of the nexus. So that way you're actually covering the mineral line. Because some of your battery cannon are a bit kind of far away. Okay, so I know it's a lot to take in, but how you doing?
Yeah, good. I mean, I think with that, it was like around 11 something that it was maxed the first time, right?
Yeah, you maxed about like 2 minutes after the example, and I would say each one of the thresholds you were behind by probes, not that bad, but supply you were a bit behind. Like the first one when I was at 39 workers and 53 supply, I think you were something around like 35 workers, so not that bad. It was like 35 to 39, but your supply was at like 46 to 53, 45 to 53, something around there. It was like mid 40s. And then at 7 minutes, your workers were at like 66 out of 76, and your supply was at like 100 out of 130. So you definitely started dropping off a bit throughout the game with your upkeep of your gateways and your robo. Because that's what that is.
Yeah.
That's what that spy represents.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was taking me like 13 and a half minutes, so I was just doing it with you, like, shaved like a minute and a half, 2 minutes off. That's great.
Yeah. And that's just something that literally just practice that again and again and again. And because I know like right now you're probably, it's like, I almost feel like it's like you have a glass of water and you're trying to put out a fire or like in an entire house, and it's like put one out, okay, another one's up, put another one out, and another fire is going. It's like problems everywhere that you're just trying to like maintain controlling. But practicing it will just make you do everything faster and faster and faster, and you'll overall get better at it. And once you can, not even just like doing it just once you can do the realistic threshold of like the max out that I gave you there, and like hitting the timers the way we hit them, if you can do that on a consistent basis, your fundamentals are good then. Because I'm going to tell you right now, for learning StarCraft 2, being able to hit those fundamentals at like the correct times and everything, that is actually the easy part of StarCraft. But that's a skill you have to go into the next step. And the next step is being able to multitask while still hitting those thresholds. So that's fucking hard. And that has a skill ceiling that like never ends.
Right.
Okay, so let's actually do one more thing really fast before we wrap up, because I want to do one more thing for you. Because I know this is the confusing part. I want you to do the opening build one more time, because it does matter a lot.
Okay.
So
so what were the things that I messed up on the first time?
So the first time first of all, placement is kind of a big deal for the first buildings. That way, if you get all in by like early speedlings or some bullshit proxy, you won't die. So I can show you placement really fast and give you a kind of an explanation of what that looks like and what you should be aiming for, like what you should be looking at essentially. And then other than your placement, you fucked up on the chrono boost. Your probe rally of the Nexus was kind of bouncing around all over the place with like oversaturating the gas too fast, and then oversaturating the mineral, taking a later Nexus than you should have. And it's just about like knowing when to send a probe out, and you rally the probe out because it spawns out of that side of the Nexus, which is why that's important. So it saves you time. And then re-rallying it immediately when the probe spawns, you re-rally the Nexus itself back to what it should be on, so that you don't have multiple probes going that direction. So that's a huge tip or a huge like thing to get good at. And then getting your Nexus down at the right time is important too. And just doing the build order properly, which is the build order goes like this. Then after this, it doesn't matter. It goes pylon, gateway, gas, Nexus, core, gas, pylon. From there, it's whatever. After that, it's just don't supply block.
You can rally your probe.
So go ahead and
Right,
join
okay.
join into this game if you can, and I'll give you a quick example.
Okay.
All right, so make you a spectator.
In ViBE coin from rally.io.
Yo, Wilbur, thank you very much, dude. You're in the FFA later. Hell yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you guys for the subs as well during this. Appreciate you guys. Okay. So I'm going to have you play the next one really fast after this. This is just going to be a short example of how to build your pylon
Okay.
and how to build your wall properly.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to rally the Nexus down to the ramp right away. Where our probe will spawn out of the bottom right side of the Nexus, exactly where that orange line is. And as soon as it spawns, I will immediately click a mineral line again. There we go. Now it's back on the mineral line. Probe is down here. And now with the probe, I do not want to build my pylon. So, if you click this pylon, can you see the pylon field right now? Can you see like a...
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So this is actually not a great pylon. And I'll explain why. What you want to do is you actually want your pylon... Or, you know what? I'm just kidding. It actually was a good pylon. But here's an example of what I'm trying to say. So, if you do something like this, okay? I built the pylon up a little bit. Generally speaking, if you build a building, the entire building does not need to fit in the pylon radius. It's only the center of the building that needs to fit. So if I want to build a building, notice how the pylon radius does not touch where my probe is right now on the bottom of the ramp?
Mm-hmm.
I can still build a gateway right there. And it blocks it. Even though the pylon radius was not that far, it's because the center of the pylon was where the gateway is going to be. Or sorry, the center of the gateway is still within the pylon field. So you can actually space
Right.
like back a little bit and it still works. So that's one thing I want to explain. And then what you want to do then is, as well as you'd want to like build your core above and connecting to the gateway. So if I try to run my probe through the middle of these two gateways, or this is where the core would be, it can't fit because there's overlap, okay? Now I'm going to build more over here and I'll show you what this means.
Okay.
So now I'm going to build corner to corner on this side. I just built a gateway and another gateway. They're not overlapping. They're connected by like only the tip of the corner is touching the tip of the other corner. It's not actually overlapping at all. And now if you look at my probe, it can fit through them. And this is not a good wall. This doesn't wall shit. The units can walk through it. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to rotate the gateway over to the right by 1. So instead of being, again, like right there, you'd want it to be over by 1, so like right there. And now I've connected, like if you think about like, imagine if there was like a big vertical line that could stab through both gateways. It literally stabs the left of one of them and the right of the other one. So it doesn't like miss one of the gateways entirely.
Okay.
So that's why that is a full wall now. There's overlap by 1 grid that allows the wall to be sealed. So that now if I have a zealot, for instance, standing like, or a stalker, standing like right here, if you get all in, this is fully sealed. And it's not like lings can just run into your base or some shit like that. Like if you get all in. So building placement's kind of like for the very beginning, building placement does matter. And that's it. Now, once again, other than this, build order is pylon, gate, gas, nexus, gas, pylon. And chrono boost 1 and 2 always happen after the pylon 1 and 2. So chrono boost 1 finishes, or sorry, pylon 1 finishes and you start chrono boost 1. Pylon 2 finishes and you start chrono boost 2. From that point on, just chain chrono booster probes as much as you can until you want to do your upgrades. But do not chrono boost 2 times after pylon 1. If you can do that opening build order, you're fucking solid. So I'm gonna leave this game now and have you try it again yourself. And I'll walk you through it.
Okay.
But I just want to give you an
So you
example
want me
of
to
how
build a wall at the top of the main ramp?
Yeah, just with your first 2 buildings. Don't actually seal it off entirely. Just build the gateway and the core like I did, where like it's like a 1 grid spot where only like 1 unit at a time can fit through. Because again, this will help a lot. If you get all in, it's much easier to defend yourself that if you have the wall properly set up. Okay, so I'm gonna be a spectator, and I'll give you an AI.
So you want the wall to consist of the gateway and the cyber?
Yeah. So it's pylon, gateway, core is the wall. And then after that, build whatever the fuck you want. Well, like wherever you want to put your buildings. The only thing that matters, literally location-wise, is you should put your cannons and your battery in your mineral line, and your forges and your council should be kind of close together, so you can easily chrono boost it. Okay, so build a probe. Build a probe.
Okay.
Rally it to your ramp. As soon as the probe spawns, immediately rally it back to the mineral line. Immediately. So focus on the nexus first. So go back to your mineral line. Or sorry, that was my camera. Just kidding. Okay, make a probe. Always make a probe too. Don't forget to make a probe. Okay, now make your pylon, and then go back to the mineral line. That was a little too close. It's gonna fuck your wall up, but it's okay. You'll see why. Just let it go.
Oh, okay.
You'll see why.
Okay.
Because again, you want to have that circle like off the edge a little bit. You know what I mean? You've gone really deep into the pylon there.
Okay.
So now grab a probe again,
Okay.
pull it up there, and the proper time to do this is around 110 minerals, when you want to grab it. So build your gateway, and now and now go back down to mine your minerals, and
Go to the
or no,
natural?
sorry, you can scout them. You can scout them. That's what I meant. Sorry, but
Oh, okay.
then make a probe, build a gas. Get ready to build your nexus. So this is also when you would be, we're honestly, I was let's do a do-over really fast because this is already super fucked. Go ahead and leave the game really quick. And the reason why that one got fucked up is because the probes stopped being built multiple times, like a lot. So we'll do it again, and this time, just don't. No worries. Just try to not stop building probes. Try to make sure you're always building them constantly. So this time I'm just going to say, I'm not going to give you rally points. I'm not going to flood you with information. I'm just going to say building what you should be building, okay? And then you just do it as is. That way I'm not speaking like constantly and like making it sound confusing. Okay. Because there's only like 4 seconds to react to what I'm saying and you're like, okay. So I'm your build order and I'm just going to speak your build order out loud, okay? Just try to keep up with it.
Okay.
Okay. Make a probe. Make a probe. Make a pylon. Make a probe. Get ready to make a gateway. Make a probe. Make a probe. Oh, you got one? Okay, gateway. Make a gas. Make a probe. Make a chrono boost. Make a probe. Make a probe. Make a probe. Send a probe down to natural. Cancel one probe. Make a nexus when you can. Make a probe. Make a cyber core. Stop that probe. So go back to make a cyber core. Okay, make a cyber core.
Here?
Yeah, I can't see what you're. Yeah, that's good. I couldn't see it until you build it, but that's good. It's good. Good job. That's good. Make a probe.
Okay.
Probe, gas, pylon. So gas first, and then pylon. Now pylon. Now chrono boost when pylon is done. And now you've effectively done the build order. And now from here on out, it goes right into that rule of don't hit 15 supply, like stay above that threshold, and so on and so on. Now saturate that gas. with your 3 on the excess of 3 on the main mineral line because you have 19. They're perfect. And then now you go back into making units and chrono boosting your Nexus constantly while you rallied your Nexus to the natural, which you did. And good job. You just did that's the opening build order. Get better at it. I would say that, okay, so if you wanted me to grade you on that, mostly perfect. The only thing that's fucked up on the way you did it was still the way your Nexus is rallied. So you always, like, your first probe the first probe that's made rallies to build the pylon, and then that's done. Then the only building that you build from all of this is, like, for the opening buildings they have to run down for, that you don't have to rally for, is the gateway. So the reason why is because if you wait until the probe's done, your gateway's going to be super late. So that's why I say at like 110 minerals, you pull off the mineral line to go build your gateway, so you actually have it properly timed. Then you rally when you're at 20 supply on top right, when it says 20 and a probe is currently, when you're at 19 supply, when you're in top right, when you're building a probe, you rally the Nexus down so that when you're at 20, the probe is headed down from the Nexus to the natural. Does that make sense? So at 19, rally to the natural. That'll be hitting you at 20 right as the probe spawns, and it'll walk to the natural, and that's when you build the Nexus.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when the probe builds a Nexus, do not grab another probe to build the core. When the probe builds a Nexus, have that same probe build the core. And then have that probe go back to mine gas, because the mineral line will be fully saturated at that point. And then when you have your gases, so you never rip off the mineral line once you're at 16. Every time you build a building, rip off the gas, build the building, go back on the gas. And what you do then is you rally the Nexus into one of your gases until it's fully saturated, and then you rally the Nexus into the other gas until it's fully saturated. And that's all you go for.
Okay, so you said take probes from the gas to make the buildings?
Yeah, like it makes it way easier. That way your minerals are maintaining optimal saturation. The reason why this is important is because if you rip off the gas, you build a building and you go back to the gas, your gas is still perfectly saturated. But if you rip off a mineral patch, let's say you rip off a 2 stacked patch and you say go build a building and you go back, it might turn it into a 1 stack patch with a 3 stack patch somewhere else. So it could give you inefficient mining, and you don't really want that. Later on in the game, when you're working with a natural and a third base, I don't give a shit if you build a building with a mineral probe or a gas probe. It's much less impactful then. But in the very beginning of the game, when you're developing your starting economy, you want to get to perfect saturation and maintain it forever, as long as possible. Because it'll boost you a little bit faster into the mid-game. Okay. All make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Hell yeah. All right, you have any final questions about anything?
I think we hit it, like, pretty much everything.
Okay.
I think that was great, man. I really appreciate it. That was awesome.
I would say save the replay that I gave you. If you scroll down in the list, it's the first one. It's like just before you played the AI the first time. So I mean, if you go to your replays and you go to the very top of the list and you just start hitting the down arrow, it'll take you back and back and back. Go to the first one I played, so like the furthest one away from the top that has my name on it versus AI. Save that one, and then that one right there will be your, like, if you open it up as well, it's like the 12-minute game or some shit where I played against AI and I gave you the full build. Make sure you watch that, like, as a refresher for yourself. Make sure you save it so you can always go back and watch it again. And that can be that's like your build order guide in case you ever miss your way and you're like, wait, what the fuck did he do at this point? I can't remember. So you don't always, if you want to make it faster, you don't always have to go back to the YouTube video. You can just go to the replay and be like, okay, what happened at 5 minutes? Like, what the fuck happens here? Oh, okay, that's what it is. And you move on from that. So it's another way to, like, just help yourself save time if you want to not always have to look at the video.
Okay.
But yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
Cool. Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah.
So what do you kind of recommend for, I guess, going forward, like try this out for a couple weeks, and then meet back up and do another one?
Yeah, I would say this. Do this, because what's going to happen is, I don't want to make you waste your time or, like, waste a lesson for yourself. What I think you should do is you should practice this until you can at the very least get to platinum doing this. And the reason why is because
okay.
here's the why. Like, if you can do this efficiently, like, I'll say this: if you for some reason cannot figure out why you're not just able to do it, we can go back to talking about your fundamentals and try to go even more in depth, possibly into like what you're doing and what would make more sense than what you're doing exactly. But you should be able to do this. The more you practice it, the faster you'll get at it. But this right here is a very easy ticket to platinum, and it's even a relatively easy ticket to diamond. Like, if you can do this, you will definitely be diamond if you can do it like close to what it looks like. So, because if we do another lesson, it's going to be a lot of the same shit again.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The biggest thing we would talk about, I guess, would be like, what are your, like, we would really just like describe or get to the bottom of like, what are you looking at it, like, what are your eyeballs at every point in time? Like, describe to me how you're playing the game. And if you're like doing things that I'm just like, okay, no, that makes no sense. Let's rethink this and like help you figure out a better way to like look at the screen, which is kind of what I told you about in this lesson. Your eyeballs should literally be looking at the bottom middle of the screen a lot, and then top right often. So bottom middle top right, bottom middle top right, bottom middle top right, bottom middle top right, because you're looking at those white boxes, and you're looking at your total supply and resources. And then you also occasionally will look, while you're looking at bottom middle, take a glance over near the minimap to look at the time. So every 2 minutes, you're expanding, you're expanding, you're expanding. Because one thing that's going to fuck you over already, I guarantee it, if we meet back up and like, let's say like 2 weeks from now, and you're like, ViBE, I don't understand why this is not working, and let's say you give me a replay. And I'm like, well, every expansion you take is like 1 minute later than it should have been. And like progressively gets later and later. So like your third base was at like 5 minutes when it should have been at 4. Your next base was at like 7 minutes or 8 minutes and it should have been at 6. Your next base is at like 11 minutes and it should have been at 10 or 8, whatever. You know what I mean? Like if every expansion's like super delayed because you're not paying attention to the 2 minute rule, that will definitely screw you as well.
Okay.
Because the general idea of this build is you will run your opponents over hardcore with just sheer macro. Like your numbers of your supply are going to be insane. And the remax potential is nuts as well, as long as you can maintain good saturation and not let your bases be like 16 probes on an 8 mineral base.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Any questions about anything? I we just talked for a second about it, but anything? Do you feel good? Let's make sure you're good.
Yeah. Feels good. You know, we'll give it a shot and see how it goes.
Okay.
Hopefully, I can report back to you with some success.
Okay, sounds good. And I just know that if you really want to do a lesson, I will not stop you. We can do another one. But I'm just giving you my opinion, and it is you can really just dive deeply, like rewatch this multiple times, dive deep into it, and use this as a way to get yourself to at least platinum, because it really can.
Okay.
All right, and don't be afraid to
That
rewatch
sounds
it.
good.
Yeah, don't be afraid to rewatch it, because there might have been some shit we talked about that you literally it went in one ear and went out the other right now, because there's so much. But if you watch it like the 4th time and you're like, oh shit, I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's such a good idea. Like I didn't even think about that, and I don't know how I didn't hear that before, but fuck, makes a lot of sense now as you get like more comfortable with the build. But yeah, man.
Right.
All right. Well, I'll have the VOD
Cool.
to you by like tomorrow,
so-
man.
Okay, cool. The VOD has the audio on it too?
Yeah, it has everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's basically like you're watching, like everyone who just watched this during the stream is going to be able to rewatch exactly what they saw on stream. So they heard me and you talking, and they saw my visuals of like how I was describing the games, and basically in our lesson, like you're seeing it from my perspective, and you'll be able to see it over and over and over. But you can still hear yourself and me in the VOD. That's why I got 2
Cool.
big fat mics in my face.
Quite the setup you have.
Yeah, it's like a
Very
dual PC setup and shit. But anyways, man, much
Very
love.
good, man.
And dude, I'll talk to you again, and let me know how it's going and all that stuff.
Yeah, will do. Thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, take it easy, dude.
Okay. Bye.
See ya. All right, guys, boom. Coaching lesson done. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. That'll be up. You know, if you're watching on YouTube, it already is up. But yeah, I'll have it up soon. But yeah, if you guys liked it, go check out more videos. I have a lot more videos out there. So if you want to learn more, not just Protoss, if you want to learn at different leagues as well, I have literally lessons in like every league for every race, pretty much, except Terran. Maybe I don't have lessons for GM Terran, but otherwise, everything everywhere. But yeah, much love, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Till then, peace. Take it easy.